worry about someone's drinking? You are not alone. Al-Anon or Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
You're watching Rogers TV, Grey County.
Hello and welcome to the special edition COVID-19 Rogers television program. My name is Carol Merton, and today I'm delighted to welcome as a guest Dave Shorey, who is the Executive Director of Georgian College. Dave, thank you for joining us today. I know you and I have chatted in the past. Who would be thinking we're still talking COVID today? But my goodness, we still are. So when you first came on the program, you were relatively new to Georgian, and I'm wondering, for those who may not have seen that program, if you can basically introduce yourself and your role, and then fill us in a little bit about what's been happening through COVID-19 for Georgian and where you're going next.
Certainly. Well, yeah, thank you again for having me. It's always a pleasure to be able to spend some time with you. I started in the executive director role for Georgian College's Owen Sound campus in mid-October. So I'm in effect 4 months in, or a little bit more than that. It's been a really special experience. So as an executive director or the executive director for the campus, it's really about building those relationships with the community, understanding what the needs are in the community, being able to share a lot about what I have learned about Georgian College in terms of the capacity that exists at the institution, and then being able to also take a look at what we need to spend time and invest resources in internal to the campus. And in particular, because of my previous experience working at another post-secondary institution for studying and working for 20 years in the Waterloo region, with a real emphasis on the student experience, that is certainly a lens with which I look through all of this work. What is the student experience, and that being for both domestic and international students, those coming directly from high school and those that are not coming directly from high school, and understanding in particular what kind of supports they may need, wraparound supports, transitional supports, anything that makes their Georgian experience one that's memorable, that allows for the kind of progression in career that they may be seeking, or the exploration of careers that they may not have understood or thought possible for themselves.
The international students, what percentage approximately would you say come to Georgian, and what types of wraparound services would you provide? I've heard that term used in other areas, but what do you mean by wraparound services for the student experience?
Sure. Well, I can speak. To give you a percentage, it's a bit of a moving target, and that's only because what we had initially anticipated for the winter term was disrupted. Travel plans were disrupted. Borders started to close again. There were things, travel plans that were disrupted. It was unexpected, as the world, we all went through that together in terms of Omicron. So we didn't see the rate of influx of international students coming onto campus that we had initially anticipated, and to which we were very excited about and we were prepared for. What's happened is that expected group of students have been distributed across the spring, summer, and into the fall term. So you're seeing a bit of a stretching out of international student enrollment. Right now, we have 82 students that are international students in post-secondary programs, and that number has gone up as high as 130, and I would anticipate that we're around that ballpark. So you're thinking, maybe 15 to 20% of our student enrollment could become international student enrollment. And that's a really special thing, I think. I think that speaks to the reputation of Georgian College and more broadly post-secondary education in Canada. But we're growing responsibly. The call out that was made around housing was in part because we are anticipating, we have experienced growth on campus. And doing so responsibly means making sure that we are not simply admitting students, but that we're sure that the kind of supports that they need to thrive exist, like housing, safe, affordable, housing that's close to campus. And so That's what growth looks like through my eyes. Now, what does wraparound support look like? It looks like many things. For a student that is just transitioning to campus, and that it doesn't matter from where you're from, to step onto a post-secondary campus it can be really, it's a momentous occasion. It can be full of anxiety and stress, and it's for a range of reasons. It could be due to finances. It could be due to, do you have proper attire as we get into the winter months? Do you know where we can find learning supports and services, whether that's, supplemental instruction around math tutoring or English skills, writing or spoken. We have counseling on site. We have accessible learning on site. So we have a number of amenities that make us a complete campus. The library, the cafeteria, the workout facilities. There's something about the Owen Sound campus that is not known by all, and that is that it is, as I've just described, a complete campus with the kind of services and amenities that you might experience from larger campuses at more urban centers, and it's right in our backyard. So what I've invested in is it's a new position, it's a continuing position on campus, the Campus International Student Coordinator position, because we do see that there are transitional challenges that are connected to housing, to transportation, and then as someone's transitioning to post-secondary education in the Canadian context, that we have the needs of students that have not yet arrived. And so the Campus International Student Coordinator is focused on pre-arrival supports, transitional support, orientation, persistence to graduation. That's the biggest of the four buckets. All the things that come with succeeding in the classroom and finding connection outside the classroom, meaningful connection. And then how do we support students to remain in the community and to find meaningful employment? And that's born out of all the work up until that point to help them find community, build community, be active contributors to community. And so I'm really excited about that position. They're only in their third week, so I'm not going to put too much on them right away, but just to say they're doing great work thus far.
But I think that's so exciting and very innovative and progressive to be able to have that resource and to work for success with international students, for sure. I love the phrase you said, persistence to graduation.
That's
that could apply to a lot of things.
Well, no kidding. And persistence, I like the framing of that as opposed to retention, because, and this is something that, I've wrestled with for a long time. We often think about retaining students. I say we in the plural sense around education. How do we retain students? I'm not saying that that's necessarily an inappropriate objective, but when you talk about persistence to graduation versus retaining people until they graduate, it frames it differently. I want to be an active participant in their developmental journey. And I would like us as a campus community to really think about ourselves as all contributors to a student's developmental journey. That's what I mean by these wraparound supports and this culture of persistence that also acknowledges the challenges that people are going through. And there's no shortage of those as well, and they're often complex. So how can we help you persist and be a part of your story that you're proud to share at the end of all this? That's where I'm at.
And what you're describing, and you use the word community, and you're actually, by the services that you're providing, and certainly the new positioning, you're attempting to create a learning community that supports others. And I think that speaks very well because we're all part of communities, and being part of a learning community also helps. Going to the larger community, you mentioned about housing, and I'm wondering if you'd like to speak to the larger community about how they might consider assisting with housing or considering housing. You would put a call out, but maybe you could speak to what you're looking for relating to housing for students.
Yeah, certainly. I want to start with a thank you to the community because there was such a tremendous response. We put a call out in October. I think actually when we first met was end of October, beginning of November, I believe. And at that time, we didn't see Omicron coming and the numbers looked different. And the community really responded. We, I think, tripled inventory of rental opportunities in a pretty short period of time. And And everyone really got the word out. And to me, that signaled a couple things. One, not that I didn't know this already, this is the reason why I wanted to come home. And for those that, I grew up in Southampton, I went to high school in Owen Sound, I left the region, and I really wanted to come back. And that's not a unique story. A lot of people want to come back, right? So I already knew that the DNA of this region was one that was collaborative, it was community oriented, it was supportive. And so that showed itself. So now it's really about, for those folks that weren't able to rent their space because we didn't have the influx of students that we were anticipating, we do continue to anticipate growth. The pandemic is a disruptor in all of this, but it will not be here forever, we don't think. So, working through that, right? And being able to create the space for people or for our students in particular, to feel safe and to be close to campus as much as we can. Yeah. And also from a cost perspective. So what would I want to say? Well, a couple things. The need is still there. We have our Bachelor of Science in Nursing program starting this fall. That'll be 30 students that are going to be coming in the fall, and then that'll double to 60, and then we'll have in the next year, and then 90, and then 120. So our steady state of 120 students will be there. So that's growth, principally domestic student growth. And then we have continued growth across our other programs. So one thing that will remain an issue is price sensitivity. And so that would be the only thing I would offer up, is that students often have tight budgets and are not always able to afford something that might be priced at, say, $700, $800, $900 a month. Something less than that is more what they're seeking. And we know from, if you were to think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safe shelters is a foundational piece. We're not going to have success in the classroom. We're not going to be able to develop a regional workforce or retain people in this region if they can't find safe housing. So again, thank you to the community for responding in the way that everyone did. Know that there is going to be continued growth. And if we can be mindful of how we're pricing in the market, that allows for students to be able to afford that then translates into their ability to purchase food, healthier options, be able to afford transportation in the region, all of the things that come with life. And so, yeah, that's what I would offer up right now.
Yeah, and that's really helpful, because we do know that prices are going up across the board, and so housing is one of those. And students, I'm assuming it's more a rental situation that most students are looking for, or if someone has space in the room in a home that they can offer.
Yeah.
Expansion, and I'm looking over your shoulder and I see something behind. You see, I'm paying attention, and you have a graphic that says, I'm getting older, my eyes aren't so great, but future nursing and wellness wing. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that's so exciting.
I'd be honored. I am the benefactor of many people's work over many years, being able to start on campus at a time where there's so much energy. The energy around renewal and future possibilities. The C Wing inside our campus has been focused on health as well as culinary for many years. But as I mentioned before, we have a standalone 4-year honors Bachelor of Science degree in nursing starting this fall. Special for many reasons. What gets me so excited is that the course offerings are so diverse on the Owen Sound campus, and they are 8-week apprenticeships all the way up to now a 4-year honors Bachelor of Science degree. We needed to make sure that we were investing in the facility to be able to provide the kind of training that's world class, it's elite. And to be able to do so in Owen Sound means that we need to invest in the facility. And so we have a significant renovation. The hoarding is up right now. The renovation is underway, and we're going to be equipping the C Wing with a range of spaces for instruction that will include a space that simulates sort of like a ward, so a number of beds. We have a space that will simulate an ICU space. We have a teaching apartment for those, whether we're looking at long-term care or in-home care. And it's not just for our Bachelor of Science in Nursing students, it's our PSW students, it's our DSW students, it's our practical nursing students. So we're able to train a number of healthcare professionals in a range of positions and be able to upskill, reskill at the same time. So this facility is going to significantly change our ability to recruit people into the healthcare field, into the sector, I should say, and be able to also retain people in the healthcare sector. And to be able to do so in ways where we're able to place students while they're doing their undergraduate work or they're doing their diploma work. We're able to place them into our facilities in the region, whether that is long-term care or hospitals or anything to that effect. The other thing I'll say with this renovation and with the C Wing is that the simulation equipment that we're putting in there is really quite remarkable. I've been able to see some of this. Tell
me about it.
Yeah, they're mannequins. They certainly have a higher price tag, but rightfully so. There's one mannequin, for instance, where there's cameras in their eyes, and the simulation technologist, the learning technologist, is sitting behind a glass window and is able to interact with the student, and they're seeing, as the patient would, the nurse that's speaking to them, and being able to actually change the physiology of this mannequin, whether it's heart rate or a number of things, breathing rate. They're able to change that behind this window. They're running this thing like, it's really quite remarkable, the sophistication around simulation in this space. And it builds off of our competencies that we have specifically on the Owen Sound campus, more broadly at Georgian College, around simulation. With our Marine Center, we have 5 bridge simulators and an engine simulator, and the ways that we're able to train internationally mariners that are coming in to be able to upskill or recert. So we have this competency already here that we're able to leverage. So when you take a look at this health wing and the ways in which we're able to pilot these simulators, to be able to really give students the kind of hands-on learning that prepares them to step into the field right away, that this is a synthesis between theory and practice to equip people to step in to the field day one and be able to perform at a level that we need. So I'm really quite excited about this.
That is exciting because that transition and adjustment, that applied learning on a real person will have, hopefully, they have learned that through the simulation model. So it can't help but help the students, but more importantly, but not just as important, is the patient or the individual who is receiving care, resident of a facility. They're the benefactors, actually, of the simulation when they think of it as the students.
And our simulations, or our simulators, I should say, because I prefer to refer to them as simulators as opposed to mannequins, just because there's something very different. They represent our community. So whether it's age, race, gender, we have a diversity of simulators here that prepares our students for those that they're going to be serving in Grey and Bruce counties.
So the individuals who will be teaching the students, the simulators will actually be a teaching tool that they can train and modify techniques based on that interaction with the simulator. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they have scenarios that they're able to run, and they often run as well. And those are in all of the spaces that I've mentioned. So the tech is the piece I didn't fully get until I saw it.
Okay.
I get renovations. I get spaces, purpose designed for that.
Bricks and mortar.
Yeah, but to see the simulators in action that can, as small as an infant, up to end of life care, that really hit me. That this is, and it is so realistic that it is immersive. And that's really important for folks that are wanting to practice in the region to be able to step right into the field. So the one thing I would say is that we're always looking for placement opportunities. And we've had some wonderful partners, but this is where for us to be able to grow, we need placement opportunities. And it's really advantageous for us to create placement opportunities in the region, because oftentimes those placement opportunities, if you want to think of them as really long interviews, job interviews, you're able to see our students in action. You are, for anyone who's providing a placement, they are educators. They're contributing to their development, and as such are able to really see how we might be able to integrate those students upon graduation into our facilities. That to me feels like one of the primary retention strategies, and really it's a community effort, creating placement opportunities, working with those students. And I can appreciate how strapped we are for energy and time, and for person power right now. I completely get that. If there's a way in which we can create new opportunities for supervision and to be able to develop students in the field right in our region, that will pay dividends in the long run, because we're going to be able to retain all of those folks that we've been able to recruit to campus, train on campus, and get out into the field through placements.
So what you're really asking for is any institutions or facilities who might be considering whether they should or should not have placements to definitely talk to the college about the benefits of having student placements,
Yes.
and that you're looking for those placement opportunities.
Certainly, yes.
As a healthcare professional, and having had that opportunity to do placements as well as supervise students, I've often heard from my colleagues that actually it is those who provide the supervision who benefit from that student energy and enthusiasm. So there is a win-win on more than one side of this placement experience. So in our area, we know that there are certain positions that we need. We need healthcare providers. We need PSWs. We are currently also expanding with facilities coming certainly to Owen Sound, but not just to Owen Sound. So the timing of this program with the growing opportunities, with buildings, the rising and the need, seems to be amazingly well timed. Did you do that on purpose, Dave?
Well, great question. It was, again, this is the work of others, not of myself as they were reading the situation, but there was work that was done with local hospitals, and it was to understand the outflow of nurses in particular, and understanding that before the pandemic hit, we were looking at a significant outflow because of retirement. That's only exacerbated with the pandemic. So thousands and thousands are slated to retire in Bruce Grey and Simcoe County, where we were taking a look at the need. And that is why, we've timed this in such a way. The province is quite cognizant of that as well. And they've been, they've at the end of the day, we need to be given the green light from the province to be able to do this. And so, to acknowledge, we had Minister Dunlop on campus on November 5th, along with Bill Walker. He's been instrumental and really been a champion for many of our programs on campus. So for us to be able to announce that on site and say, we are responding, and we're doing so in a really thoughtful way, and in a way that will create high quality candidates for a number of jobs across our region. That was something that was cooked up before the pandemic hit. It's really just been very responsive. I will say though that, and this is just on the topic of support and growth, we do have growth in other programs as well. And I'm not trying to move off health, but just to say.
That's good.
Yeah, we have our skilled trades in tech. This is something that I've really grown to appreciate quite quickly, that we have almost quadrupled the number of apprentices that have moved through the Owen Sound campus over a 4.5 year period. Wow. And every apprentice is an employee of someone in the region. That's a big deal. Our ability to whether it's carpentry or welding techniques or boiler making, I could go on. We have a number of skilled trades and tech programs that look like pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships, techniques programs. We're working with our two school boards around the youth apprenticeship program. we are hearing over and over again how starved we are in this region for skilled trades, and I don't think it's unique to this region, it's well beyond it. But Owen Sound has been, at Georgian College's Owen Sound campus, I'm just referring to it as Owen Sound, we have really committed to growing in that area as well. And that's a story of being able to develop a local workforce, retain a local workforce, help that local workforce level up so that we can create new economic activity and economic growth in the region. We're hearing repeatedly the needs for growth in that sector as well. And so that's just a signal that we are continuing to invest in that area. And as we continue to see growth in the energy sector in particular, this is where we would like to be, want to be, and are partners in workforce development and planning. So I couldn't be more excited on that side of things as well. And then marine, that is a space where we can continue to grow significantly, along with us understanding entrepreneurship in a rural context and how we might be able to partner with a facility like the Sydenham campus next door to be able to leverage the assets that they have so that we can really create new capacity in the region for us to grow. So yeah, I think there's so much good going on here. And as I've learned more, I've been able to really share the story of Georgian College's Owen Sound campus and how special it is for us to be able to leverage and to grow right in this community.
I'm hearing the enthusiasm for sure, but you're describing a vibrant education institution that is looking to expand, grow, and develop to meet changing needs. I mean, to me, that's remarkable. You're not staying within the same boundaries and programs. You're recognizing change. Well, the COVID impacts obviously have affected all of us. So in the last couple of minutes in the program, anything different that you'll be doing as a result of COVID?
Well, we are going to be staying the course. All 24 Ontario colleges, as well as the university sector in the province, are going to be staying the course around what we have had in place. Admittedly, we were concerned around what Omicron in particular was going to bring at a time when we thought we were going in a different direction. But we were able to put or reinforce those measures that were in place to keep our learning spaces safe. And so we're continuing that through, distribution of N95s. We have screening at the front. We have all the health measures in place, and that's something we're going to continue. We're reevaluating as we move through this as a sector, as we get into the spring and summer and into the fall. What measures do we need to still put in place to keep people safe? But what's beautiful about our Owen Sound campus is that there is so much applied learning that happens here, whether it's skilled trades, marine, health. There's a lot of activity here. So we've been able to keep people safe, while at the same time being able to sustain a high level of engagement on campus and really progress the learning that is so important, because a lot of people that we're hearing from are saying we really would like to be in person for those programs that make sense at the right time. So I'll say pandemic is always an element, but we're really quite mindful of keeping on-campus activity going.
Dave, I want to thank you so much for being on the program. It is always exciting to hear what you have to say about Georgia, and all the best. And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us today. Please join us again to learn more about programs, services, and resources available to you and to your family. Take care. Stay safe.
This program is brought to you by NBA League Pass. More dunks, more slams, more to love, live in HD. NBA League Pass, part of the Rogers Super Sports Pack.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.